Betrayed by those she trusted most, Adaobi finds herself trapped in a world of envy, manipulation, and cruelty. But when everything she's endured pushes her to the edge, an unexpected twist offers her a chance for revenge, or redemption. As dark secrets unravel, Adaobi must decide, can she escape the shadows of her past or will they consume her forever? A story of survival, heartache, and the unlikeliest of triumphs. Sit back and watch as the story unfolds. This is the story of a girl named Adaobi, a beautiful African girl with long hair and chocolate skin, who lived in a small village called Ufuma. Her father died before she was born, and her mother was the only one who raised her. However, when Adaobi was just 10 years old, her mother fell ill and passed away. Afterwards, she moved in with her aunt. Her aunt, Mrs. Oakley, had only one daughter named Amaka. Mrs. Oakley hated Adaobi, jealous of her hard-working nature, while her own daughter was lazy. Adaobi was made to do all the house chores and cook for the family, but when the food was ready, she was only given a small portion. Despite this, Adaobi remained cheerful and never complained. After completing secondary school, her aunt insisted she sell bread every day. Adaobi became known in the village for hawking bread, and people always bought from her. Even after coming home from selling, she was still the one to cook, while Amaka lazed around all day. Still, Adaobi remained kind and resilient, even though her aunt and cousins spoke ill of her, while others in the village praised her. One day, Adaobi's aunt told her to wash her clothes before going out to sell bread. Amaka added her own clothes and demanded Adaobi wash them too. Adaobi protested, saying she needed to go sell bread, as their mother instructed. Amaka, enraged, shouted, "Are you mad? You are a slave in this house. You must do what I say. I am your small madam. Before you leave for the market, make sure you cook." Before Adaobi could finish everything, it was late. She still went to the market, but didn't make much sales, and when she returned home, her aunt beat her without asking what had happened. Adaobi had a good friend named Amaka who lived in Abuja. One day, Amaka came to visit the village during his holiday and decided to see Adaobi. When he arrived, Mrs. Okoli welcomed him, but Adaobi wasn't home. He waited for a while and then left. The next morning, he met Adaobi on her way to the market, and they talked for a long time. Amaka confessed, "I still love you. When we were children, we liked each other. Now I want to take you as my wife." Overjoyed, Adaobi told her aunt about Amaka's proposal. Her aunt and Amaka pretended to be happy. Mrs. Okoli said, "So you'll be Amaka's wife?" No problem. I accept." Adaobi thanked her and ran to her room. After she left, Amaka asked her mother, "Are you really happy Adaobi will marry a rich man?" Mrs. Oakley replied, "Happy? No way. I will not sit and watch her marry a rich man while my daughter is here. I'd rather give Amaka to him. Just watch. I have a plan." Adaobi also had a friend named Victor, who was a gatekeeper working for a wealthy man named Mr. Pius. Mr. Pius had recently returned from the UK with his fiancée, Olivia, but she didn't know how to cook or clean. They were planning to stay in Nigeria briefly before returning abroad. One day, Mr. Pius mentioned to Victor that he needed a cleaner. Victor told Adaobi, who agreed to take the job. She planned to sell her bread early, then clean Mr. Pius's house quickly before going home. The next day, Adaobi went to Mr. Pius's house and did an excellent cleaning job. However, Olivia wasn't pleased and insisted Adaobi clean again. Adaobi politely replied, "But Ma, I've cleaned the whole house." Olivia, furious, yelled, "Are you deaf? Clean it again. It's not up to my standard." Just then, Mr. Pius walked in and complimented Adaobi, saying, "This house is spotless. Great job." Olivia was angry, but Mr. Pius ignored her and asked Adaobi softly if she could cook. She said yes, and he asked her to prepare a goosey soup in Iba. Adaobi agreed, prepared the meal, and served it. Olivia rudely criticized the food, but Mr. Pius defended it, saying it tasted great. Olivia stormed off angrily. When Adaobi returned home, her aunt and Amaka accused her of being away too long. Adaobi explained she had taken a cleaning job and handed over the money she had earned. Amaka accused her of prostitution, and both beat her despite her protests. The next morning, Amika visited and was shocked to see Adaobi bruised. Her aunt lied, saying a street boy attacked her. Adaobi, too scared to tell the truth, agreed. Amika comforted her and bought her medicine. Meanwhile, Mr. Pius's relationship with Olivia was falling apart. Olivia found documents indicating he planned to settle in Nigeria and pursue farming. Furious, she packed her things and left, declaring she couldn't marry a farmer. Mr. Pius was sad, but let her go. One day, Adaobi returned home with 10 wrappers, telling her aunt that Amika and his family would be visiting in 3 days to seek her hand in marriage. Her aunt pretended to be happy, but secretly plotted against her. The next morning, Adaobi left her food outside to fetch drinking water. Unbeknownst to her, her aunt, Mrs. Okolai, saw this as an opportunity to set her devious plan in motion. She quietly approached the food and mixed in sleeping pills. When Adaobi returned, unaware of the danger, she ate the food and soon fell into a deep sleep. Mrs. Okoli wasted no time. She called Amaka and instructed her to contact Victor. But instead of using her own voice, Amaka cleverly disguised her tone to sound like Adaobi's. When Victor answered the call, believing it was Adaobi, he rushed over without suspicion. Upon arriving at the house, Mrs. Okoli welcomed him with false warmth, offering him a seat. Victor, noticing Adaobi was not there, asked, "Where's Adaobi?" Mrs. Okoli smiled slyly and said, "She just stepped out, but will be back any moment now." As Victor waited, Mrs. Okoli offered him a cup of water, which she had also laced with sleeping pills. Oblivious to her intentions, he drank it and soon fell asleep in the chair. Together, Mrs. Okoli and Amaka dragged the unconscious Victor into the room where Adaobi lay. They undressed them partially and arranged them on the bed in a compromising position. Then they hid, waiting for the final part of their cruel plan to unfold. Not long after, Emeka arrived at the house. He knocked, but no one answered. Finding the door ajar, he pushed it open and entered, calling out for Adaobi. To his horror, he discovered Adaobi and Victor lying on the bed half naked. His heart shattered. Overcome with anger and betrayal, he shouted, "Adaobi, what have you done? What is this? You know I love you. I wanted to marry you. Why did you betray me like this?" Adaobi, groggy from the sleeping pills, awoke to the sound of his voice. Confused and terrified, she saw Victor beside her and realized the horrifying scene. "Nothing happened," she cried. "I don't know how he got here. This isn't what it looks like." Stay tuned for part 2 to find out what happens next. Got hooked by the story? Want more jaw-dropping twists and unforgettable characters? Then hit that like button and subscribe to Tales by MSK, where the drama never ends and the post always thickens. Don't miss out on the next story. It's going to be wild.